It's Tuesday morning, it's a sunny day, and we're in the middle of the official en primeur tasting week for the 2013 vintage. We've actually started a few days ago. We've had a lot of people through last week, and we're going to have a lot more next week. Anyway, it's been so far extremely encouraging. As I think it's not a secret, expectations for this vintage were not particularly high. There'd been quite a lot of adverse press about the vintage, mostly from people who weren't here during the harvest, and certainly from people who'd never tasted it before because they couldn't have. And I think that the overall and overwhelming impression I've had from the people who've come to visit us here at Pichon is that they are agreeably surprised. And this is not a surprise to us because we knew that people would be. Of course, when you come with very low expectations, it's perhaps relatively easy to be agreeably surprised. What were the wines of 2013 like? Well, first of all, it's not an exaggeration to say that the viticultural year was a challenging year. Somebody said that it was a memorable year, which I think is a rather delicious euphemism. It was, it was difficult, and the nature threw the book at us. There were all sorts of things that went wrong. We had difficulties during flowering. We had rain at times when we didn't want it. We didn't always have the sunshine we wanted. There were lots of problems. But those kind of difficulties do not necessarily mean that the final result will be a bad wine. That's our job, is to get out there and look after the vines, look after the grapes. And I think one of the essences of what made a wine successful in 2013 was a commitment to quality that involved a will or a willingness to eliminate everything that was not perfect before it gets into the winery. And that means very strict selection in the vineyard. It means very strict selection when the grapes come into the winery. And it means also very strict selection later on, after they've been destemmed, before they actually go into the vats. And then when it comes to the blending, the strictest selection possible to make sure that you've got something that is worthy of carrying the name of the chateau that you're looking after. If we take the specific case of Château Pichon Baron, this is actually the lowest amount of Pichon Baron we've ever made since we bought the property in the 1980s. So we're down to 10,000 cases only. This is, Pichon Baron has made in the past 30,000 cases of Grand Vin, so it's a very radical reduction in volume with the aim of making the best possible wine we could make in the conditions of the vintage. And we get down to that low volume by low yields, by extremely strict and rigorous selection of grapes as they come into the winery. And then, of course, when we make the blend, we just choose the very best wines to make the Grand Vin. But then there's also the blending and selection to make the second wine. And we take the second wine of Pichon Baron, Les Tourelles, extremely seriously as well. And in fact, normally at Pichon, our blend is around 50-50, half Grand Vin and half second wine. This year it's more like 40-40. That means that we made a very much reduced quantity of Grand Vin, we made a very much reduced quantity of second wine as well. And then about 20% of our production we didn't want to put in the second wine, and we sold it off as a bulk wine. So that's quite a commitment to the quality of not just the Grand Vin, but also the second wine, that we're prepared to do something like that. And those were the kind of sacrifices you had to make in 2013 if you wanted to make something that was a serious wine at whatever level you were making it. So what are the wines actually like in 2013? Well, the styles of wines and the quality of wine vary quite a bit, because a year with so many challenges is bound to throw up varying results. But the best wines, the ones that that I like the most, and I hope that we can class our own wines in that category, are wines that have a lovely, delicate freshness of fruit. These are wines that are elegant, they're balanced. They make me think most of the year 2008, to some extent of 2001, but they're in that kind of style. And remember that both 2001 and 2008, when they were first made, people weren't that excited about them en primeur either, and both of them today are recognized as being very good examples of the fresh, elegant, classic style of Bordeaux. And I think that the best wines of 2013 will be recognised in the same way. That's what Bordeaux is all about.